Good evening, everyone. I'll call our Committee of the Whole meeting to order here in Council Chambers at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Silas.
Present.
Macias.
Present.
Razak.
Present.
Timian.
Present.
Finch.
Present.
McNeil.
Present.
Castro.
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
All right, we have no remote electronic attendance needed, but I will take that time to just welcome Alderperson Silas to his first meeting. So thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
All right, public comment, Chief.
I don't believe there's anything. Cheryl Humphrey.
Where's the first page?
This is the one page that
No, there's another.
And as Chief reminded everyone earlier, but I'll say now, just state your name, and if you live in Moline, and you get 3 minutes, and he's gonna run the little monitor up there, but I might have to say thank you very much. It's not trying to be rude, it's just giving everybody the equal amount of time.
Julie Cox.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Julie Cox. I'm the owner of Julie's. I live here locally. I live in Coal Valley. And I opened my business in 2017 under the framework the city allowed at the time. In good faith, I invested my time, money, and energy into building a business that has been successful within the Moline community. This is my family's livelihood. I also have employees who depend on their jobs and income. A bit of history, when we opened in 2017, we opened under a Class B liquor license. In 2018, we were reclassified into a new Class K license, increasing our annual fees from $1,400 to $5,000, and we complied. In 2019, additional restrictions were placed on us, including limitations on advertising. We removed billboards and our monument sign to meet the requirement of a single sign. Again, we complied. Then in 2022, we were notified that Class K licenses would be reduced to 0 with current businesses grandfathered in, but subject to a 5-year sunset provision. I would like to raise a concern about fairness and consistency. Today, bars and other establishments in Moline are still permitted to offer video gaming, many operating under the same number of machines that we do. There are currently 33 locations in the city with slot machines. If the activity is considered acceptable and manageable in those settings, it's difficult to justify why it's no longer acceptable in ours. This distinction appears arbitrary and does not eliminate gaming, it simply shifts it elsewhere. If the city can approve a business model, allow people to invest in it, and then later eliminate it, it creates uncertainty for every small business owner. It sends the message that even if you follow every rule, your investment may not be protected. That uncertainty discourages growth and weakens confidence in our local economy. The sunset provision as it stands effectively forces closure and places a full burden on small business owners who acted in good faith and in full compliance. It results in lost jobs, lost income, lost tax revenue, and more vacant storefronts, challenges the city is already working hard to address. It does not remove gambling from our community, nor does it meaningfully address gambling addiction. In fact, I would argue that cafes like ours operate with greater control. We limit access to adults 21 and over who intentionally enter our businesses, while in other establishments, gaming machines are visible in environments where minors may also be present. If the city believes changes are necessary, I respectfully ask you to consider a more balanced approach, allowing existing licensed cafes to continue operating as other communities have done, would protect small businesses while still enabling the city to move forward with its policy goals.
Thank you so much.
Is that it? 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Susie McAfee.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, my name is Susan McAfoose. I live in the Quad Cities and I operate several of the Susie's Video Poker and Slot locations. Currently, I have 4 of the Class K licenses in the City of Moline. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask that the city reconsiders the Class K video gaming ordinance that was created by the council in January of 2022. This new ordinance sunsets all existing Class K licenses on December 31st of 2026. We are not asking to expand. We are simply asking to continue operating the businesses that we have built and run responsibly for the last decade. Over the years, we have contributed to the city through our licensing fees, application fees, renewal fees, and gaming fees. While it seems small in the context of the entire city's budget, it has consistently been a meaningful and reliable revenue for the city of Moline. This business has been my livelihood since November of 2013. It supports me and it supports over 25 local employees. Several of these employees who started with me are still working at Susie's. Many of these employees are members of this community, including retirees who rely on this income to supplement their Social Security because of many of them, it just simply isn't enough. These are real people that depend on these jobs. I have also invested significantly into my businesses, not just financially, but personally. I've put time, energy, and care into creating a safe, clean, and well-run establishment that operates within the rules set by the city. If the city moves forward with this, it will have a real impact, not just on me, but on my employees and their families. It will also risk creating more vacant storefronts, losing businesses that have had stable revenue and consistent contributing to the community. We have followed the rules, we have made the investment, we have built our businesses here in Moline. We're simply asking for the opportunity to continue. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Jeff McAfee.
Good evening, Mayor and the members of the council. My name is Jeff McAfee. I own the building at 2037 16th Street in Moline, the former Pastures Vietnamese restaurant, and we converted it into a Susie's. We purchased it, remodeled it. We did that roughly about 10 years ago, and we've been maintaining it and paying taxes. I'd like to speak to you about the economic impact of sunsetting the Class K establishments. The three Class K businesses together, Susie's, Julie's, and Sophie's, contribute over $300,000 annually to the Moline budget through the licensing fees, gaming, terminal fees, taxes, and other fees as well. It's been a consistent, reliable revenue year after year, and that supports city services and infrastructure. So let's put it in perspective. That $300,000 is equivalent to 18 years of road salt for your community. We've also heard that there's gonna be some renovations on the fire station that could certainly help. But more importantly, this is meaningful funding that comes every year. It's reoccurring. It's not just a one-time deal. If these businesses are eliminated, the revenue that you're currently getting will leave Moline. I mean, we've watched it. These people that come to these Susie's, Julie's, and Sophie's, they like the environment. They're not gonna go to the local Moline taverns. They're gonna leave. And they'll go to East Moline, they'll go to Rock Island, Silvis, et cetera. Also, when you lose those customers, those same customers that come to this community, they spend other money on other services here. They go grocery shopping, they fill up their cars, they visit other retailers. So those people will suffer as well. About the local jobs, these establishments also support dozens of local jobs, many held by individuals who rely on this type of work because it fits their needs. For some, it supplements Social Security. For others, it's simply an essential income they need to survive. You will hear from some of these employees tonight. If these businesses close, these jobs won't relocate. They're gonna be gone out of Moline. So there is a much broader economic event or effect. When these businesses close, it will lead to vacant storefronts, reduced property values, less activity in the surrounding areas. It doesn't only impact the business owners, it also impacts the whole community. As I mentioned earlier, my wife mentioned earlier, I mean, we've invested thousands of dollars, and we have a bank loan on that building. So I think we all can see, and not just this community, but many communities, I mean, it's set up as a restaurant, made right across the street is closed. This thing, if it closes, it'll remain vacant. I mean, people aren't gonna be rushing into any community and open up restaurants. And I'm not sure even what other business would go in there. I mean,
Thank you
there's a
very
lot of
much.
empty space.
I'm so sorry. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
All right, thank you for your time.
Chief?
Well, hold on, I'm having technology John Cox.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is John Cox. I'm here speaking in support of the K establishments. I'd like to talk about the fact that these businesses are not the same as bars or restaurants. While we may share some of the similarities, the experience we provide is very different. These cafes are quieter, more controlled environments. They are not centered around alcohol. They are designed to be calm, predictable, comfortable spaces. And that matters because of who they serve. Most of our customers are regulars. They come in, they know the staff, they appreciate the consistency of the atmosphere. It's not loud, it's not chaotic. It's a place where people feel comfortable. On a personal note, although she's no longer with us, my mother was a perfect example. She used to enjoy going to casinos, but over time her environment became difficult for her. As she entered her 90s, her body began to slow down, walking became more difficult, but her desire to embrace life, to go out and connect with others never wavered. Places like these cafes gave her a comfortable alternative, something she could manage, something she genuinely looked forward to. She treasured the time we spent together when I would pick her up and we'd make a day out of visiting Julie's. And I know she's not the only one. We've also provided each of you with a few photos of our locations. I would just ask that you take a moment to look at those because they reflect exactly what I'm describing. Clean, quiet, well-maintained spaces that operate within the rules. If these businesses are removed, that experience doesn't just transfer somewhere else. Those customers don't suddenly get the same experience at the bar or restaurant. In many cases, they either go to another city or they lose the option entirely. So this is not just about eliminating a type of business. It's about removing a specific kind of space from this community, a space that has existed here for years and serves a particular group of residents. We are not asking to expand. We're simply asking that this existing option remain available for the people who choose it. Thank you.
Rachel Cox.
Mayor, members of council, my name is Rachel Cox, and I'm the operations manager of Julie's. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to take a moment to address what I believe is one of the underlying concerns in this discussion, gambling addiction. I want to be clear, I do not deny that addiction is real. Even in my personal life, I have seen how addiction affects individuals and families, and I have been actively involved in 12-step recovery programs, so I understand this is a serious and complex issue. But because it is complex, the solution is not as simple as eliminating Class K licenses. If the goal of this ordinance is to protect public health, safety, and welfare, as stated in its intention, this policy does not actually accomplish that. Video gaming remains widely available in bars, restaurants, and neighboring communities. The same machines, the same access. So this ordinance does not eliminate gambling. It simply shifts it somewhere else, and in some cases to environments where alcohol consumption is higher. Statistics show that alcohol addiction affects significantly more people and has a greater negative and well-documented impact on public health, safety, and well-being. In fact, the only path currently available to businesses like ours would be to increase alcohol sales in order to qualify under a different licensure, which raises an important question about whether that truly aligns with the goal of reducing harm. I'm not saying those businesses shouldn't exist. Again, I'm saying that this is a complex issue and that this ordinance does not solve it. What it does do is eliminate a small group of regulated, compliant businesses while leaving the broader system unchanged. If the concern is truly about helping people who are struggling, then there is a more direct and effective path. Class K establishments contribute over $300,000 annually to the city. Instead of simply eliminating those funds, they could be redirected toward programs that support addiction recovery, mental health services, and community resources. efforts that would actually address the root of the issue. While this is an emotional topic, I would ask that this decision not be based on that, but on logical and measurable outcomes, not just your good intentions. Because the actual outcome of this policy is fewer local businesses, lost jobs, and less local revenue without solving the problem it was meant to address. So I respectfully ask that you reconsider this approach and allow existing Class K establishments to continue operating under the framework that was already in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Cox.
Good evening. My name is Jason Cox. I'm here in support of allowing the existing cafes to remain open and continue operating under the current laws. I'm here specifically in support of Julie's, a small, locally owned, family-run business operated by my family. These cafes were approved by the city under specific rules. We've always followed those rules, we invested in those rules, and we built within those rules. We're simply asking to continue operating lawfully under those rules. Frankly, creating rules that allow a business to open, then changing the rules later in a way that forces the business to close sets a very concerning precedent for others looking to invest in the community. These cafes are not only part of my family's livelihood, they employ other people right here in the Quad Cities, many of whom will have a hard time finding other stable employment that isn't physically demanding. I believe these types of jobs in particular are going to become increasingly harder to find. These aren't jobs that are moving or changing. If we close, these jobs are simply gone. With so many jobs being automated out of existence, it just doesn't make sense to needlessly eliminate more of them. Our cafes and most others are clean, peaceful locations. They're not bars where the primary purpose is alcohol consumption. They're not selling questionable merchandise and substances with minimal regulation, and they're not rowdy clubhouses or backroom gambling operations. They're clean, calm spaces built around entertainment that is fully legal, monitored, and accountable. We see every person that walks through the doors, and every dollar is automatically tracked and reported to the state, with earnings and payouts made publicly available for anyone to see. I know a major concern is that these establishments lower the quality of the area. I can agree that this is a valid concern for any community member. But to that, I would just invite you to stop out to any of our locations or those of our competitors. I think you're very likely to see a clean storefront, a calm, comfortable environment. You won't find loud music, intoxicated crowds, or illegal activity. If there are concerns, please let us know and they can be addressed. But shutting down a well-run business based on a perception that doesn't match reality isn't the right approach. There is a clear and reasonable path forward. Other Illinois communities, including places like Woodstock and Rolling Meadows, have allowed existing video gaming cafes to continue operating under grandfathered provisions while still addressing concerns through regulation. We're asking you to do the same. Not expansion, not new licenses. Simply allow the existing Class K establishments to continue operating. That approach protects jobs, preserves revenue, and maintains trust in the city's commitment to small business. We respectfully ask you to reconsider the sunset provision and allow existing Class K businesses to remain. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Fuller.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you for letting me be here. I'm here on behalf of the senior citizen. I'm 79 years old. I've been living here since I was 2 years old in the Quad City area. Moline and Moline mostly is where I was raised. Raised in Moline, moved to Moline so my daughters could go to the Moline High School. I didn't want to go to Rocky because that's where I went. So I'm here because me and my wife both work at Julie's for the extra money that we need as a senior citizen. We count on that money. In fact, right now my wife is working there at Julie's, taking care of that part. It's hard when you're getting to be a senior citizen. You can only do so much. As a matter of fact, coming in here today, coming up the cement steps, I kind of tripped and fell. It's because of my age. I can't get just a job like I used to. And I've been in this business for 7 years. I worked 4 years at the casino, enjoyed it, but I had to get out of there. And I went to Julie's, and I asked for a job. At the time, I was fighting cancer. I came down with stage 4 metastatic cancer. It just took me 4 months ago, I found out I was cancer-free. But I still need that job. My wife needs that job. And the older people that we got coming in there, they come in to see us. They enjoy being with us. They enjoy talking to us. They got a place, nice, friendly place that they can enjoy. They don't have to worry about being, if I have a lady that has to leave and it's dark outside, I go to the door and watch her get to her car and get the car started and leave. And they enjoy that. That's what they look for. They come in walkers. They come in crutches. They come in wheelchairs. Some of them walk in and walk out, and I don't know how they make it. They're my age, maybe a little bit older, but you need us. You can't shut us down. We need your help. And so do the people of Moline that come in and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brittany Lesage. If I'm saying that correctly? Sage. Need a money back guarantee.
Hello, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I want to thank you for allowing us to come and speak in front of all of you today. My name is Brittany. I'm a current resident of Moline. I purchased my home in Moline 4 years ago. I have an 18-year-old son who attends Moline High School. He will be graduating this May and then off to college. I am currently employed at Julie's Video Game Poker and Slots for almost 6 years, in addition to also having a part-time job as well. I love the laid-back environment, the social space, and the intimate atmosphere where regulars can socialize with staff and other patrons. Not only is it a fun place to visit, but it's a great place to work as well. This is my primary source of income, and this is how I support my household. This job keeps my lights on and food on the table. If Julie's were to shut down, I would significantly impact my household, and losing this job would affect my ability to support my family and our plans of the future. This job is more than just work for me. It would impact my way of living. The impact of the business shutting down is a loss of entertainment for our community. Not only is it where I work, it's somewhere people come to relax, have fun, and connect with others. Families, friends, and even individuals rely on spaces like this to take a break from their daily stress. Our atmosphere is less pressured than large casinos to play for casual leisure. A community would lose a place where they can laugh and where they can simply enjoy themselves. Getting shut down, it will make another empty storefront for Moline. As a Moline resident, I would like to see the business stay. When businesses shut down, they often leave behind a community that feels less alive. Our business contributes local tax revenue that funds schools, roads, and public services. Every business supports local economy. Loss of tax income can strain a community's resource and limit what our city can provide. Please reconsider your decision. Thank you for allowing us to come before you.
Thank you.
Deontay Jones.
Hello, Mayor and people of the council. I've been in the Quad Cities basically my entire life. I graduated from United Township back in 2021. And even as an able-bodied man, it's hard to find a job nowadays. You basically have to know somebody. Before I worked at Julie's, I applied to maybe over 100-some jobs all over the Quad Cities, East Moline, Moline, Rock Island, even like Moline. And if it wasn't for Julie's, I probably still wouldn't have had a job. It's really hard to find one. Sorry, I blanked out. That's all I really
No,
had.
it's okay. Thank you very much.
Well, Lewis Kitcher. All right, Kitcher, I'm sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is my first time hearing this. I'm nervous would be an understatement. My wife and I returned home from a vacation about a week and a half ago, and we live right off 23rd Avenue and 74. So 74 is like our backyard. So when we came and saw all the trees gone for the bike path, our view of the woods isn't the same. We live the last house on a dead-end street. We've lived there for 35, going on 36 years. Mr. Abdur was gracious enough to meet us at the library. I just thought I'd go sit down and maybe have lunch and talk about some things, but he graciously gave me his 10 or 15 minutes, and now here I am with my 3 minutes. I'm more of a relational person, and haven't done any of this, lived in the city all my life. I had a thing written out and timed myself, and now it's just all gone. I came here to talk about finances. I came here to talk about property taxes. I brought my checkbook. When I want something, I budget for it. If I want something big, I'll get a loan for it, or wait, or maybe get a smaller one. Having gotten older and more involved, and when I say more involved, I mean more searching for information, not involved like I am now. I'd like to have a relationship and learn a little bit more and be a little more participatory. I hope I don't have to run for alderman at some point because it looks like a very time-consuming job. But anyway, having said all that, and to make time with my 3 minutes, I don't believe we have an income problem. When I need income, like I said, I have to budget. Maybe I have to go get a second job. I'm retired now. I've thought about going back to work if I need a better car. You get money from tax revenue, and that's how you spend. As a Christian, I believe that it's not my money, it's not your money, it's God's money. And we're called to be good stewards of our money. And I think that from the things that I'm hearing, we tax a lot of things. We sell marijuana at the old Aldi store. We have these video gaming things that a lot of people seem to be in an uproar about, but we have gambling boats, and we're getting revenue from that, and I don't believe that's the right way to go about things. I'm sorry if I've offended anybody here, because I know from what I've heard that a lot of you depend on that income, but there's other ways to do things. And I think, again, that we have a spending problem. I came to gripe about the bike path and the lack of trees. I have a bicycle. I'm going to spend time on the bike path. I'm going to enjoy it. It's all about priorities, and I look forward to knowing you a little better, I guess, and maybe having some conversations to see if we can work together to make Moline better. Thank you.
Sue Ferguson.
Chief,
She'd lower that microphone.
Chief, can you lower that and start your timer?
Hello, members of the council. I wanted to thank you all for letting us speak. My name is Sue Ferguson, and I have lived in Moline for 50 years. I have one daughter, one son-in-law, and one granddaughter, and one great-grandson. I work at Julie's, Moline. I have worked at Julie's for 4 years, and I really enjoy working there. If Julie's would shut down, it would be a big struggle to find employment because I am handicapped and walk with a walker. I am on Social Security and working for Julie's help support my income. Thank you again for letting us speak.
Cheryl Humphrey.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us be here. My name's Cheryl Humphrey. I'm a lifelong resident of Moline, and most of my points have already been brought to you. But I will say I'm retired, and I've worked for Susie's for 10 years. I really enjoy my job, and I need the money to supplement my income. And I think my other points have already been stated. Thank you.
Nathan Tilburg.
Hi,
Hi, everyone. I do apologize that I'm not for much of what everyone else is here for, but I've come before the council to propose an idea of some radical changes. And I know that it's a bit scary to most people to hear an idea of a radical change. However, I believe Fifth Ave is currently being, well, constricted on its potential. You see, the one thing that a city prioritizes most is the one thing that it's going to prioritize everywhere. And currently for us, that is parking and cars. Fifth Ave is the economic corridor and powerhouse of this city, and it's what is the cultural center of this city. If we ever want to potentially create a more pedestrian-friendly place, we need to remove cars as much as possible. And frankly, Fifth Ave is constricted by cars, and it isolates people more than it ever does bring more economic prosperity to the area. And so I'm proposing to the council, and I would be happy to work with you, to potentially create Fifth Ave as a bus corridor only, preventing cars from traveling through, and to reduce and to eliminate the on-street parking on Fifth Avenue. By doing this, we can greatly increase the potential for greater pedestrian intermingling amongst businesses. Now, I know it sounds a little bit crazy, and the traffic department might have a problem with me, but I believe that by doing this, we could potentially create greater opportunities for small businesses that might not be able to afford a storefront to operate on the street or in the current parking spots that are currently just being used for people that come to one business and then leave. By removing the parking, people walk more. By walking more, you see more storefronts, and by seeing more storefronts, you go to shop at more places. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Dora Schnook. Let's see if that's right. Anywhere close?
That's
Not right. Well, how would you like to be called today? Just today, though.
Just
You
today.
could beat any name.
We'll
you
just
want.
say Dora.
How about Dora? All right, Dora. This is Dora, everyone.
Hi. Thanks for having all of us. I do not live in Moline. I live in Sherrard, but both my husband and I have retired. Mike retired from Moline Forge. I retired from feeding your school kids for 20 years. But we chose when we retired to do a little something more because we've always worked. And we enjoy going into Susie's. Mike is not physically capable of doing anything anymore, lifting or any of that, because he has a bad leg, but we just enjoy the camaraderie. We've met nice people, we get to know our customers, we play by the rules, and it's a great supplement to income with gas going up, food going up. So thank you for having us, and I hope you keep us all open.
I suspect this might be a duo. Shirley and Betty Howell, is that right? They're in the overflow. Well, we'll give them a second because there's a little delay, so they haven't gotten in here yet. And the easiest name of the night, Darren Smith. You're on deck. You're on deck.
You got my name right.
Just start warming up. Don't go yet. Don't go yet. Don't go yet.
Am I arrested?
No. You not watch baseball? The deck. You get to time the pitcher. That's all. Your only job right now is time the pitcher.
Mr. Schmidt, will you go see if those two people are
All
on
right,
their
we'll
way?
let you go, Darren.
Are you kidding me?
You're cutting into your time. Now you only get 2 minutes.
He's joking.
Hi, Mayor, Council. I'm Darren Smith. I work at Julie's in Moline part-time. And I've worked at Oscar Mayer for 30 years. I retired in the spring of 2018. I went to Julie's in the summer of 18, and I've been there ever since. It's a great place to work. It's laid back. The people come in, and I'm kind of a bullshitter. I shoot the breeze with them a little bit. They gamble a little bit. They talk a little bit. They love coming in. They think it's great. It gives them something to do to get out of the house. If you go to Bally's or wherever you got to walk so far, you know, I just want to tell you thank you for letting me speak. Can I go?
Shirley, going once, going twice, was not over there? No, Shirley? Nope, she was not. All right, well, we've got Paul Breitbach. How'd I do on the name?
Perfect.
Oh, look at that, I'm getting better.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Paul Breitbach, and I'm Rachel's father. I'm not here as a business owner, I'm here as a parent. I just want you to understand who Rachel is beyond what you've heard tonight. She's a devoted mother of 2 young children. She works hard to support her family, but she has also built her life in a way that allows her to be present, not just for her kids, but for this community. Because of this job, she's able to volunteer in her children's schools, help run after-school programs, and give back in ways that many working parents simply don't have the time to do. That didn't happen by accident. It's because of the opportunity this business has provided her. If this business is taken away, that balance disappears. She will have to find other employment, likely with less flexibility, and that means less time with her children and less time giving back to the community. This isn't just about a business, it's about families and the lives they've built around something that was approved and allowed. I'm simply asking you to consider the real impact that your decision has on people, not just policy. Thank you.
Shirley and Betty are here, but they're not speakers, Your Honor, and
Okay.
we have concluded public comment.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. We move into board appointments on our agenda. Mayor's appointment of Susanna Aguilar to the Plan Commission to fill the unexpired term of Alan Silas to expire June 30th, 2029. Any questions? All right, and there are no questions on the agenda. We don't have any updates, so we move to our committee of the whole agenda items. 7.1, a resolution approving change order number 1 and final with Her Construction, Inc. for project 1448, 2025 sewer lining program for the amount of $297,120.
Thank you, Your Honor. When this contract came before council for execution back in June, we asked for permission to spend up to the budgeted amounts of $700,000 for sewer, for sanitary, and $100,000 for stormwater improvements. We did go slightly over those amounts, about $15,000 for the sewer and $11,000 for the storm. So the total project amount was $827,228.30.
Motion to approve? Motion to.
Oh, we already had a second over here. So it was motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion. Can you just remind us what drove the cost up? Was it labor or something that had to be done in the field?
Right, so we added locations to get
Oh,
up to
that's
that
right.
$800,000 mark. That's what we were shooting for. Above that, it was just some unforeseens in the field.
Thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.2, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to accept 5 deeds of dedication for street right-of-way and 5 temporary construction easements, more particularly described herein, to allow construction to proceed on project 22-00289-00-BT, 25th Avenue Shared Use Path Construction. Ms. Clower.
So the city has some federal funding to construct a shared use path along 25th Avenue through Morgan Park. In order to do that, we need to acquire some right-of-way and easements from 11 parcels. These are the first 5 of those 11. The other 6 are still in the works, but undergoing negotiations now. I'll expect to bring them forward to council soon.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Timian, seconded by Macias. Discussion. Mr. Timian.
Did any of the landowners voluntarily give up their land?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Macias.
And some of the ones that are still pending, are they, when do we expect to have some of those?
Well, I've already
resolved?
received signature pages from 2 of those 6. I just didn't receive them in time to make this agenda. The other 4, I am told, have all verbally agreed. So it's just a matter of making appointments. We have a third-party negotiator that has to meet with each property owner and get the signatures. It's kind of like a little closing. So it's just a matter of getting that done, but hopefully next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.3, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a contract with Langman Construction, Inc. for project number 1537, roadway improvements on 38th Avenue, 34th to 35th Street for the amount of $253,466. Ms. Clower.
So this project is widening the roadway on 38th Avenue, Old Town Road between 34th and 35th Streets, and then performing an asphalt resurfacing on the roadway. This project is necessary to construct a left turn lane for the new Texas Roadhouse.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Yes, Mr.
I
Timian.
normally don't like widening roads, but I think that this is a good use of it, so thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.4, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a contract with Phoenix Corporation of the Quad Cities for project 1511, 2026 alley resurfacing program for the amount of $112,645.
So this is it's kind of a new program for our 2026 CIP. We're going to try to resurface some alleys instead of reconstruct. We feel like this is a good way to stretch our dollar a little bit further. Reconstructions is significantly more expensive than resurfacings. So we have 3 alleys picked out for this program for this year, and we'll see how it goes.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.5, a resolution approving the special event application for the Moline 250 event scheduled for Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, that is sponsored by the city of Moline, and closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic, and authorizing the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event. Mr. Vitas?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, we are requesting approval to close 17th Street at the from about Bass Street to the end of the cul-de-sac so that we can conduct the celebration of the nation's 250th anniversary on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, when the declaration was actually declared, as opposed to signed on July the 4th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion. Are you sure it wasn't because fireworks are cheaper not on July 4th?
No, they're the same price
Oh,
every day
okay.
that week.
Especially this 250th year.
Probably a little upcharge.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.6, a resolution approving a special event that is sponsored by the Glen Oaks Neighborhood Association for the Morgan Park 4th of July Parade scheduled for Saturday, July 4, 2026, closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a licensing agreement with the Glen Oaks Neighborhood Association for the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event.
As you all, Madam Mayor, members of council, as you all know, this is a long-standing traditional parade in the Glen Oaks neighborhood. We are recommending approval of not only the event, but the closure of the streets temporarily for the parade, which is a short parade, but a well-attended parade.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Macias, seconded by Silas. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Macias.
Just want to thank the staff for working with the neighborhood association, keeping this tradition and really making sure that we have all the parameters in place to make sure that it's safe and yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.7, a resolution approving the special event application for the TBK Quad Cities Marathon and Road Races scheduled for Saturday, September 26, 2026, and Sunday, September 27, 2026, and closing certain streets more particularly described herein to vehicular traffic, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a licensing agreement with the Quad Cities Running Club, Inc. for the use of public right-of-way in conjunction with said event. Mr. Vitas.
Once again, this is becoming a long-standing tradition here in downtown Moline, out in front of the vibrant arena, which is the start point and the end point of the parade, of the marathon. So we're recommending approval. We have an agreement with them for this.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.8, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to apply for a state highway permit for the Illinois Department of Transportation to execute the necessary forms for temporary closure of the ramp along I-74 eastbound to 3rd Avenue River Drive in conjunction with the Quad Cities Marathon and Road Race scheduled for Sunday, September 27, 2026.
Again, associated with item 7.7, just above, this would be to allow for the closure of the ramp so that the race can continue from Moline into the state of Iowa, and then on its return.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.9, a resolution approving work authorization number 04 with MKSK for the Moline Riverfront Schematic Design Proposal Part 1 as an amendment to the professional services agreement originally approved by Council Bill Resolution number 1161-2023 to provide site investigation services including boundary and topographic surveying, bathymetric surveying, subsurface utility engineering, preliminary geotechnical engineering, and project management coordination for the riverfront and gateway districts, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to work authorization number 04 with MKSK for the amount of $179,237 plus reimbursable expenses for the amount of $3,000 for a total amount not to exceed $182,237 for professional services necessary to support schematic design development for the Moline Riverfront redevelopment project, and authorizing city staff to do all things necessary to implement work authorization number 04 and advance the Moline Riverfront schematic design process. Mr. Vitas.
Madam Mayor, members of council, this is an exciting step forward for the city of Moline. As you know, we spent a year to a year and a half just working on the master plan to get to this point where we are today. Last, I believe it was, July? We had approved the master plan. So we are in the process now of looking to have all the geotechnical work done on both the large riverfront parcel between the River Drive, the off-bound ramp on 74, as well as 19th Street, and then including the property across the street, which is the center gateway. This is critical next step in order for us then to understand all of the work that will be done for the civil engineering and the design schematics that will be necessary. So we're recommending that we proceed with the approval of this work order and then advancing the project further.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Finch, second by, I'm going in order, Castro. When you all speak at the same time, I have to decide in order. Seconded by Castro. Discussion.
We all are excited about it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Razak. Yes, it is exciting that, I mean, are we gonna see any bulldozers in that project?
You know, I think you might see bulldozers in the fall.
The fall, okay, well, I
You'll
said
see-
2026
You'll see site
was the year.
exploration going on now. I guess that's
Okay.
exciting too, if that's
If
your
it's
line of work.
construction equipment of any sort, it counts for 2026, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.10, an ordinance approving a preliminary/final development plan for a planned unit development site and rezoning from NC Neighborhood Center to NC PUD Neighborhood Center Planned Unit Development for an approximately 1.25 acre tract of land commonly known as 2701 to 2715 Avenue of the Cities.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you all remember, I'm sure, seeing this development agreement or the amendment to the development agreement come through. And I know Alan Silas did not, but saw it at Plan Commission, this rezoning. But 7.10 is a PUD rezoning. It's going to rezone this, the northeast corner of 27th Street and Avenue of the Cities from NC to NC PUD. The reason that PUD is needed is really because of the 10-unit multifamily that's on the north side of this project, and then also for the vehicle service use, which will be either a coffee shop, ice cream shop, and of course that goes along with the EV chargers. So phase 2 of this would be the EV chargers in that commercial on the corner, and then phase 3 would be the residential. So we do have 2 items on this, 7.10 and 7.11 are tied together. But this did go to Plan Commission, obviously, and had unanimous support from the Plan Commission, and we're asking Plan Commission's recommendation on this would be to approve. And that's
Thank you.
staff's as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Timian. Discussion. Mr. Timian.
As a resident a block away and as a childhood Aldi soda buyer, this corner is a very important part of apparently my life, and that's really kind of strange to say, but I'm really glad that this is moving forward, and it's moving forward in the direction that we agreed upon before any of us were in these chairs. It's moving in the direction with housing, with more commercial, and it's just I'm grateful for staff for pushing forward and holding them to the fire and moving forward in this direction. It's great.
Can I add one thing? Sorry,
Yes.
the neighbors had concerns about trash blowing and some privacy concerns, so the Plan Commission had a condition to have a privacy fence on the north side. So that was added to our recommendation as well.
Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you. The commercial building, is that a drive-through, you said? So I guess I'm looking at this map, I'm concerned that it's not adhering to our drive-through requirements because those require that there's an easy exit at all points for any drive-through being installed.
Okay.
And perhaps that's what that second lane is kind of meant to do, but it looks like it's only one lane through parts of it, so.
Okay.
And it may be long enough that it adheres, I don't, but.
And there are no variances associated with this either. So you see a lot of those conditions at the end are like, you will meet the lighting code, you will meet traffic. So it's gonna have to meet those things. And certainly some kind of variance will be required if it's not gonna meet those things.
And I recognize it may be a little bit of a unique site with how it's running
Yeah.
up against the busier roads that may cause challenge, but just something that I'd rather us be looking at sooner than later, if there is gonna have to be a change or adjustment.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Macias.
It kind of looks like it on page 9 at the end. It's got like 2 lanes. But it starts at 1, so I don't know, that could be the tricky thing.
And it may be adhering because of the number of stacked spaces, I mean, it's a question, not something where I'm saying it's
We
wrong.
will, and certainly, we'll verify before the next meeting too, so you can know what you're voting on in regards to that.
Thank you very much. Anything further from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.11, a resolution approving the final plat of subdivision for Plaza on the Avenue, 3rd edition, and vacating a portion of an existing utility easement, a replat of lots 2 and 4, Plaza on the Avenue, 2nd edition / Dolan Commons.
Yeah, so this subdivision takes the balance of the site, the undeveloped balance of the site, and converts that into 2 lots. And like you said, Mayor, as part of that, there is an easement vacation that's kind of trimming the existing utility easement down. We've verified all the locations of the utility companies and communicated with those utility companies and worked with engineering on that. So the subdivision does include that easement vacation as well. One other final point, this item will drop off next week and it will come back. At your next meeting, it will drop off. It'll come back after that just so it times up with the rezoning. And that's per the city attorney's request.
Okay, thank you. Anything, we need a motion, actually.
Motion approved. Second.
Let's do one at a time. Please raise your hand. Raise your hand to motion, and then I can call on the right person
Motion.
to approve.
To approve.
Thank you. Ms. Finch, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Timian. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
7.12, a resolution authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to nominate census tracts 219 and 223 for Opportunity Zone 2.0 designation under the Federal Opportunity Zone Program, and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to take all necessary actions, including procurement of professional services to achieve Opportunity Zone designations for census tracts 219 and 223. Mr. Parr.
Thank you, Your Honor, and Council. So Opportunity Zones 2.0 version. So it's original program created in 2017. We now have the passage of Opportunity Zones 2.0. And it is an opportunity for, it's a zone, it's an opportunity for reinvestment in capital gains. So it's a program that's been around for a while, but with the last passage, the 2.0 version, it's now made permanent. So it has a lot more substance and structure. The window is opening again for states to identify and recommend at a federal level qualified census tracts. And so we want to present our qualifying census tracts to the state for consideration. The two tracts, Census Tract 219 and 223, are projected to be qualified census tracts and meet the objectives for the state of Illinois to attract investment. So again, this would be private capital investment through sheltering of capital gains. So that's the program, and we have those two qualified zones.
Motion to approve. Second. Thank you. So that's motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Mr. Schmidt.
Do we have any indication how likely it is that census tracts would be accepted, or what that's going to look like?
So I think at the end of the day, no more than 25% of all qualified census tracts statewide will actually be able to be brought forward. So to answer your question, and this is, again, part of it is the first version, the 1.0 versus 2.0. The state of Illinois had one of the lowest utilizations of its presented census tracts of any state in the first round. And so the state is being very intentional to put forward census tracts that can attract investment. So it's not just being able to have a designated low-income census tract that qualifies. It has to be investable, so it has to be able to attract investment. So there's a lot, the state's looking at it in that lens and that good nexus. So for us, 219, 223, so that represents our downtown core, riverfront area, 219, and then 223 out in the South Park Mall area. So those are best positioned to attract investment. So should be competitive.
I want to just thank you for doing this. I don't know if y'all recall when I came back from I think it was last year's U.S. Conference of Mayors, there was a huge panel about this, and all the U.S. Conference of Mayors was advocating to keep this in the federal budget, and luckily it did stay. But I was already frustrated because Moline didn't have any qualified zones. They were all in other neighboring cities. There were a ton in Peoria. And so that's where that value of our connection with the liaison to the governor's office is that I've told you about before. I made sure they knew this was on the agenda today.
Good.
As well as Star Bond's upcoming, okay? So, I mean, there's no guarantees, but we're following the process, and I just really want to thank staff for following up on and following the opportunities that are in front of us. Any others on the council? Comment? Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.13, a resolution authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to submit a notice of intent to the state of Illinois stating their intent to apply for the recently created Star Bonds program and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, and city staff to take all necessary actions, including the procurement of professional services to attain Star Bond project designation. Mr. Park.
Thank you. So Star Bonds, sales tax and revenue bonds. So it is a state tool. It has a new round of authorization, and they are function much like TIF with property tax. So this is the opportunity to freeze the sales tax in a designated area, to establish a district, freeze the sales tax, and then create projected increment and then bonds based on that increment. So it's much like TIF for property tax. This is the Star Bonds for sales tax. It is it's a high hurdle. We have to have an area that with significant sales tax capacity, 60 million in annual sales tax has to be generated from a target area. It has to be an underserved area. So you put on all the different filters. The one area where we can create that level of sales tax and have that's postured for our current low freeze and high capacity to have that bond is the South Park Mall retail area. So this is not specifically South Park Mall, but that South Park Mall retail area. We would have to be, this is just to file or submit our letter of intent. So there's a rhythm to it. We submit a letter of intent. That's it. It's just one piece of paper of our intent to form a district and present a district. And then we have a district plan submission that's in January. The first 11 tenths, June 1st, and then we have a district plan submission January of next year. Now that's where we have to have a plan initially formalized. We would have to have a master developer partner of scale in partnership with us. Cities are not allowed to be the identified developer for a Star-Bond designated district area. So there's a lot of work to be done there, and there'll be a lot more conversation to happen there. And then we have to, if successful, do the project plan, 6/1/2028, I should say, that's to submit a plan in 2028. So this is a multi-year process. It does require significant planning to go along with it, but it has to have minimum capital investment of $30 million, as I mentioned, gross sales greater than $60 million, and also has to create new jobs greater than 300. So a lot of work to be done. This is just to file a letter of notice of intent.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Timian, seconded by Finch. Discussion. Mr. Timian.
I have a question, Chris. I'm ignorant to this. Does this just capture the state's portion of sales tax, or does it capture local portion, or what percentage of that is captured as an increment?
Yeah, that's great. So it can be state and city.
Okay.
And as local home rule, we can then also elect additional sales tax, like a hotel motel tax, food and beverage. Then that's at our own election. We just have to state that, and that's to be part of our package application.
So there's a world that we would opt it. We could, pending approval and everything, include our own portion of the sales tax in order to create the increment. Okay.
Anything further from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.14, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a notice of intent to award with Miller Trucking and Excavating Company for Project 1520, the 2026 lead service line replacement project for the amount of $7,947,755, contingent upon receipt of a loan agreement from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes.
Ms. Williamson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We're excited to be here for what we call our Phase 2 of our lead service line multi-phase program to replace all of the 4,900 approximately lead service lines that we have. We received 3 bids. We're happy that Miller was actually the lowest responsible bidder, and that's what you have before you. You will also see this on the agenda for your approval for later in the evening, because we do need to get this to the state so we can get the loan agreement going. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.15, a resolution accepting a quotation for office furniture to be placed in the newly renovated space at City Hall for the relocation of the Department of Finance from All Makes Office Furniture, Inc., utilizing Omnia Partners contract number CO23 for the amount of $110,929,075.75, plus installation of the same for the amount of $10,794, for the total amount of $121,723.75, and authorizing the Assistant Director of Public Works to purchase said furniture and do any and all things necessary in order to complete the purchase. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you. Good evening. Public Works staff is currently working in that space to renovate. We anticipate in the next several weeks that space be very near completion. We just need some furniture for staff. So we've been working with Carol and her team to understand their needs. I think what we found was very reasonably priced, durable and professional looking furniture. So we're recommending it now tonight, and also will appear on the city council agenda tonight as well, just to kind of expedite the process to get the furniture.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Finch, and seconded by Razak. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Schmidt.
With the drastic changes in the workspace, it makes sense that we would have to get new furniture to fit the place it goes. What is our process with the furniture left behind?
We try to find spaces for that to go into. If not, we'll try to relocate, resell if we can.
I can tell you, I can actually speak to that. They've been pillaging and pilfering for weeks as we've been moving operations and consolidating operations, everything is getting recycled. So what ends up at the end of the line is that which is probably beyond its useful life anyhow. So that would then be sold off, it would be declared as surplus.
So the city staff is going down and saying, hey, this is an upgrade for me.
No idea.
Swap it right in.
Yeah.
Good, that's.
Yeah,
All
they're good
right.
at it.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. 7.16, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a licensing agreement with Two Bad Boys LLC for use of public right-of-way to install and maintain a barrier fence and an outdoor dining deck for outdoor service of alcoholic liquor and food. Mr. Atkins.
This is essentially essentially a correction of a prior licensing agreement. They've had this agreement each year for a number of years now. We discovered that the actual dimensions for their deck are a little bit different than what had originally been authorized. So there is a change. This is replacing an already existing agreement that had been signed off on. But now it is actually for the correct area to be covered. And so we are recommending approval.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Ms. Finch.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Silas. All right. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passes. 7.17, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 Alcoholic Liquor of the Moline Code of Ordinances by repealing Section 4-3104, number of licenses in its entirety and enacting in lieu thereof one new Section 4-3104 entitled Number of Licenses to amend the sunset provision for Class K video gaming establishment liquor licenses set to take place on January 31, 2027. This is a, yes, council person brought forward, so we'll let you do the explanation and then we'll have the motions as usual.
Okay, all right, thank you. I would like to start off by thanking Chief Reaganweather, all of the directors, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Vitas, for their help in gathering information, Alderperson Castro for her support, and a special thank you to Carol and her team for their continued work in crunching the numbers. You all are appreciated, thank you. This evening, I have brought forth an ordinance to end the sunset on Class K license, allowing the gaming parlors to remain open. So how did we get here? Let me take a moment to refresh everyone's memory. My predecessor, Mr. Moyer, made a motion to eliminate Class K license but grandfather the current license holders. Mr. Wendt made a motion to add a provision to sunset Class K license in 5 years. That vote ended in 5 ayes and 3 nays. In that meeting, the mayor asked an important question. What is the financial impact? Because there's a consequence for every action. And tonight I'd like to share the consequence to that action, but first I'd like to speak about the jobs lost and the lives affected. I've had a chance to meet some of the employees of the gaming parlors, and I met some of my constituents, as some of yours as well. I'd like to share their stories. Mike, who's worked at Susie's for 7 years, is retired from Moline Forge after 40 years. It's already hard for him to afford his medicine, and he uses this income to supplement his Social Security. Dora, who worked at Susie's for 3 years, retired from Chartwell after 20 years, also supplements her Social Security with this job. Haywood has worked at Susie's for 7 years. He's had multiple surgeries, and this is his only source of income. He lives in Rapid City, but states that when he works in Moline, he does all of his shopping here. Tara has worked at Julie's for 7 months. She's a widow going through a hardship at the moment and is using this job to pay for her child's college tuition at the University of Iowa. Dawn has worked at Susie's for 9 years. In the past year, she's experienced a house fire and is trying to put everything back together. She supplements her Social Security with this job. Dante, he's worked at Julie's for 2 years. He just moved out on his own. He helps his parents on the side with a brand new barbecue business and says he loves his parents, but he doesn't want to move back with them. Sue has worked at Julie's for 4 years. She's in the process of a double knee surgery. She lives a few minutes away from Julie's and loves being so close. She supplements her Social Security with this job. Cheryl, she works at Julie's for 10 years. She's retired from Rock Island Arsenal and also supplements her Social Security with this job. Johnny's worked at Julie's for 7 years. He's retired from Eagle Center in Milan. He supplements his Social Security with this job. Janet, she worked at Julie's for 7 years. She's retired from a doctor's office and supplements her Social Security with this job. Brittany, who's worked at Julie's for 5 years. She has 2 children and just purchased a new home. Dennis has worked at Susie's for 3 years. This is his second job, but he's close to retirement. Maria has worked at Susie's for 13 years. This is her second job. She has some medical issues and is close to retirement. She fears that losing her job will throw off her retirement plans. Brian has worked at Susie's for 8 years. He does have a second job, but not frequently for extra cash. He stated that his roommate also works for Susie's, so they both would be affected by this decision. Darren, he's worked at Susie's for 9 years. He's retired from Oscar Mayer. He supplements his Social Security with this job. Lee has worked at Susie's for 6 years. This is her primary income, and she does have a second job for extra money. When sitting down with the gaming parlor employees, I asked them all the same question. What happens if you were to lose this job? And their answers were unanimous. It was housing they were concerned with. Employees and patrons both expressed that it's not just about the money that's spent at the gaming parlors. When they leave, they use our gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, and our shopping centers. To demonstrate the economic impact of $307,000 in a budget, I reached out to some of our directors, and they helped me with a list. So what is $307,000 purchased in a city budget? That's 18 years worth of salt brine for our roads, fire department personnel, that's approximately 3 full-time firefighter, paramedic, salary and benefit. This directly impacts our ability to maintain safe staffing levels, meet responsible expectations, and ensure that adequate personnel are available for emergencies. Emergency equipment, roughly 5 to 7 cardiac monitors, defibrillators, which are critical for life-saving interventions during cardiac events, or 25 plus self-contained breathing apparatus units, which are essential for firefighter safety during fire suppressions. The renovation of Station 12 is currently underway, and that's $250,000. The closest impact to the library is circulating books and content, and approximately $329,000. Contractual tree work is $314,000. Parks and Recreation capital projects are budgeted at $1 million, but $307,000 would be a 30.7% reduction in projects. Recreation programming has a $421,000 budget, but $307,000 would be a 72.9% reduction in program. I've heard a few reasons that this decision was made, possibly addiction and quality of place. Closing gaming parlors isn't tackling addiction when you're allowing gaming machines in other establishments. Alcohol is consistently listed as the top 3 to 4 preventable cause of death every year in the United States. There is no active ordinance to reduce the number of liquor licenses in the city of Moline. As far as quality of place goes, gaming parlors bringing down the quality of place, but bars that require mobile police stations because people who drink lack appropriate judgment. The butterfly effect of this decision has a financial impact of $307,000. The owners will lose their business and their income. Employees lose their job. The owner of the gaming machine is a small business. He's out $200,000 in an investment. We have an empty brick and mortar. Landlords have to find new tenants. The owners of the buildings will be forced to sell, and over 10 years, they've contributed $7 million in revenue to the state of Illinois. That could possibly be grant money. I strongly oppose the sunset of Class K license due to loss of employment and loss of revenue into the city. We all have the ability to not negatively impact people's lives and create unnecessary hardship. These establishments have been in operation for 12 years. Please let them die naturally. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Castro, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Finch. Discussion. Ms. Castro?
I was going to say something, but Jessica already pretty much said everything that I was going to say. But I did want to say that I have one, I think it's Susie Slots in my ward. They reached out to me probably at the end of last year, early this year, and I sat down and went to their establishment. It was clean, it was safe, it was, I could see why people would want to go there, besides going into a bar. I really loved what I think it was Mrs. Cox said about the issues with addiction and how we use our cannabis dollars to assist people who have been negatively impacted by that, and maybe trying to find some way to use those dollars to do something for gambling addiction or mental health issues. So I don't think that there's any reason for us to. I don't think there's any reason for us to sunset them. I wasn't here when it first happened, I don't think I would have voted for it at that time, so I am hopeful that we can let them continue.
Thank you. Any further comment from the council? Mr. Schmidt?
I think that the arguments to keep them open are compelling arguments. When we look to the revenue losses, that is, of course, a big piece of the budget. We'll have ways to find that money in other ways, but it is, every revenue source helps in city planning. More compelling to me is the loss of jobs. I struggle with this because of that reality. And those are the reasons why, when this first passed in 2022, I voted against the amendment to push it forward. But what has changed my mind and what's changed my position is that since we passed that ordinance at that time, I have heard overwhelmingly from the community that they want to see the sunset go through. In fact, I, until this evening, have never heard from any constituent or anyone other than the owners of the businesses asking me to keep it open. And when I've sought opinions, that's not what I've heard from the community. This was 50-50 to me at the time. It remains that way now. It's fighting multiple facets of how I like to keep our town. But I'm choosing to go with what I've heard from overwhelmingly from my constituents, and that's why I'll be voting to leave the sunset in place.
Thank you. Mr. Timian?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have so many thoughts, and I really appreciate everyone that came today, especially those from Julie's, who, from my point of view, have really built a community. And what we're seeing is that this establishment is acting as a third place, a place that isn't home and isn't work, and they're going to congregate and have family and build a community together. And I think that that's wonderful. I work in the mental health care field, and every single year, every single month, we have new federal regulations that come forward. And I work with a team of software engineers that are directly responsible for making sure we are legally compliant. This is what our entire team is built for. It's boring, but it's necessary, because if we don't do it, people lose access to mental health care. We have to remain compliant with the laws in order to do this. When this sunset provision was passed, and I was the deciding vote, and that was kind of fun to think about, because it's been 4 years. We gave the shop owners a 5-year time limit to become compliant with the laws. And in my profession, if we don't do that, we get shut down. And this is a similar situation. I would ask why the business owners have not chosen to become compliant, to keep these communities and these third places open. They've had 4 years to do it. If we did that same thing at my job and said, well, we're gonna wait until the deadline and then fight it, we would get shut down. And the best thing about this is that there's still time, there's still 9 months for business models to change, to adapt to the regulations that have been passed. And I would encourage everyone to do that, because I would hate to see these communities and these third places be affected. But having said that, I still stand by the decision that I made, and I don't know if I need to go into a budget argument or any other discussion. I would just remind this council that about this time last year, I was the only vote that wanted an abandoned building to be a convenience store and vape shop, because I argued that any business is better than an empty business. And this council overwhelmingly said that not all businesses are good businesses, or not all businesses are ones that we want. And I'm happy to say that I was wrong and you were right. And so that is my stance, and I've adopted your stance that you all voted for last year. And so I thank you for that, and I encourage the business owners to adapt.
Thank you. Anything further? Yes, Ms. Castro.
Just in response to Mr. Timian regarding that vote last time, we didn't close any businesses. We just decided not to add any new licenses. we are not suggesting that we are going to be adding additional gaming salons throughout the city. We just want to let the ones that are operating right now continue. In order for them to become compliant, they would have to, I mean, we would have to have them sell more. I mean, they would have to apply for another license. They would have to sell more liquor, which is going to completely change their business. I think I had asked Chief one time about if they've ever had any kind of police calls or any violence or anything like that at any of these establishments, and I don't believe at that time he said that there were any. I think maybe there was maybe one police call to those businesses. When if you look at the businesses that are downtown or other bars where there's the gambling and the alcohol, there are a lot more. More problems can happen down there, and the folks that are wanting to go to these establishments are not going to want to go to a place like that. It's going to completely change the model. So, I mean, they could become compliant, but it would completely change their business.
Thank you. Mr. Macias?
Thank you. And yes, I'm not insensitive to everybody's livelihoods and the effort and all the work that has been put into these businesses, and also the welcoming environment that's been created for folks. But just thinking back then, it was the quality of life. What do we want our neighborhoods and our business environment to look like? It was mentioned, it is complex. It's very complex. A lot of the decisions we make are complex. It was also mentioned, let them die naturally, which frankly, the disruptors are probably going to do it sooner than later. I can't watch a sporting event without the need to, hey, should I be gambling on this? And I'm not really a gambler. And without friends and people that I know saying, hey, you want to go in on these squares or whatever, it's very, very mainstream. So regardless of our decision, there is going to be sunsetting just by disruptors and the nature of how mainstream this has gone. Unfortunately, there's no way to compete with the big corporate sports giants and the mega casinos. It's probably bound to happen, regardless of what's decided here. That said, I also had the chance to take a tour and meet with some of the business owners, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the businesses, but I also believe that some of the folks, I don't know how many of the folks will probably end up going to bars if they want to continue to go to the slots. Maybe they'll go to the neighboring cities. But that said, the shifting of business to bars is one thing that could happen. But there's been years, and some of the businesses could have maybe added a restaurant element to it, a bar element. It's not just bar or liquor. There could be other ways of making it a destination. In fact, I'd be supportive of a whole brand new casino. I'm not anti-gambling because then that's a destination. But there's been a lot of time, and here we are, less than a year to go, and we have to basically, I'm going to stand with the decision I made years ago. Again, I appreciate everybody's input, but there's been a lot of time, and there's still some time to look at how you can evolve the business, and this is a fight that you're going to have at some point or another. These disruptors are not going to go away, and people are just going to continue gambling on their phones. That's just something that it's a certain thing that's going to happen.
Thank you. Mr. McNeil?
It's also hard for me to hear about the loss of jobs. I work in an industry and worked with two organizations that had significant layoffs in the last year. I understand the impact. It's across businesses, it's across industries, and technology changes jobs, industries. I was able to visit a business with many of you, and we talked about the concerns and the change in your industry. We did see sports gambling explode online, right? And now, the state of Illinois is considering legislation to bring casino gambling to your phones as well. And so, whatever the outcome in the vote tonight, I would continue to talk to your employees about, the possibilities of these jobs being lost due to the change in this industry. as well. I think that was a concern that we discussed, and I would see that as a concern for you. I am favoring staying with the sunset. I understood the rationale from the council. I did not serve at the time. I did not vote. But I appreciate everyone coming. This is a difficult decision for myself and as others have stated, but that's my position.
Thank you. Anything further from the council? Hearing none.
Could we have a roll call vote?
Yes, and the motion is to amend the sunset. So if you vote aye, right, you're voting, or if you vote in favor, you are voting to get rid of the sunset. If you vote no, you are sticking with the sunset, correct, Mr.
That's
Atkins?
correct.
Thank you. All right, so if there's nothing further, all in favor, roll call? I mean, wait, I can't do all in favor. Sorry, 1 second. 1 second. If there's nothing further, roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Nay.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Nay.
Razak.
Nay.
Timian.
Nay.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Nay.
All right, that motion fails 3-5. So the Class K sunset remains in place, correct? Thank you. We move to number 7.18. The resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a memorandum of understanding between the city of Moline, city of Rock Island, and county of Rock Island, setting forth the terms for submitting a joint application for allocated funds through the 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Chief, is that you? Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you've been on council before, congratulations, Alderperson Silas. We bring this forward annually. It's the DOJ Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant, or commonly known as the JAG Grant. We are awarded this in conjunction with our partners at the City of Rock Island. And this year, the total allocation is $58,505. Of which $29,230 is awarded to the City of Moline. There's a 10% offset to Rock Island County. So our allocation is $26,307. The resolution before you explains that the police department wishes to expend $20,000 of that money on a one-time discounted trial of Urban SDK's traffic analysis software that the Director of Engineering and her staff, my staff, have been evaluating to better understand the traffic in the city of Moline, including traffic volume and speeding. We feel that this will give us data-driven insights to enhance traffic enforcement, traffic planning, and public safety efforts. The balance remaining of $6,307 is planned to be used for digital tablets, the brand name of Remarkable, which we already have several of these deployed in our investigation division, but this will allow us to expand that program and further digitize our in-field note-taking and forms that our detectives use on a daily basis. So please note that this item will appear on the City Council agenda as well on items not on consent. The DOJ gives us very narrow windows of the application when it drops and then when they're due. So I'd ask for both consideration or approval tonight and then consideration on council as well.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second by Alderperson Schmidt. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. And we move to our informational. Build Moline, a city-led pilot to restore attainable housing. Mr. Timian.
David, is it up there? It's on the bottom shelf, yeah. Thank you. Good evening, members of council. I come before you tonight to introduce an idea, get feedback, and hopefully a tacit approval so that as staff moves forward with this idea, they have all of our ideas and feedback, and we can kind of go with it. So I'm introducing a program that I am calling Build Moline, and this is a city-led pilot program to help restore attainable home ownership within the city. So what is the problem? The population of Moline peaked in 1980 at 46,400 people. It has been in decline ever since. Now, arguably, we have built homes since then. We have built plenty of homes in the last 45 years, but the population continues to decline. And we have to ask ourselves, why is it that when we add more places to live, we still have fewer people? And it's quite simple. People are having fewer kids. People are requiring less space, or they're taking up more space because they're not leaving their homes. Because they stay in place longer. Their houses are paid off, and there is nowhere for them to downsize into. Further, nationwide apartment building declined over the years. There was a peak around the 1980s when people were building apartments, and then they just stopped when they discovered condos because they could make a quick buck instead of making their money back over 30 years. Why this matters and why the housing issue is there. Starter homes, which are not present, are not being built currently, they're an entry point to home ownership, which gets families into the generational cycle of home ownership and wealth building. Fewer starter homes means that fewer families choose Moline, and they instead go to other neighboring communities where these kinds of homes are being built. In our case, it's usually across the river because they have better incentives for this kind of house building. So, according to our partnership for the, man, I'm losing the word. What's that thing we're doing? The comprehensive plan. Okay. The average home in Moline was built in 1959, with only 7% of our housing stock being built in the last 25 years. That means that if someone is looking to get into home ownership, they have to choose between a house they can't afford, which is the houses that are being built, the larger homes, or a 100-year-old house that needs a lot of upkeep. In my own neighborhood, there's a house that's for sale for $70,000 that no one wants to buy because it requires probably $100,000 worth of work. And it isn't always a finance issue. It's a, do I want the headache of changing pipes, getting rid of knob and tube, insulating it, changing the roof, doing all the work to modernize asbestos abatement, modernize an older home. On the flip side, there's another house near me that just sold on 12th Avenue for $180,000. And that's a busy street because it was kept up and modern. And it was a smaller home as well. The point is that people will buy homes that are newer. We're missing that segment of smaller homes that are newer construction. I will also encourage anyone, if they have questions in the middle of this, please raise your hand. I'm happy to make this a discussion. So what we're seeing here is that this is a market failure. The private market focuses on profit, and typically fast profit. They don't have the capacity for long-term profits unless they are building apartment buildings and, again, making money over decades to get their investment back. Further, another market failure that we've contributed to, and all city governments have, are regulations that have prohibited building on smaller lots, or requiring too many parking spots, or requiring a max lot coverage, a lot of different regulations. Now, we can tackle those, and we've done that for a lot, but I would argue that the development community is just out of practice for building these smaller homes because they get instant gratification when they build a 2,500 square foot house or a big commercial or multifamily development, and not these smaller houses. And despite the demand, the private sector is not building them. So my proposal is build Moline. And did I do that here? I did. So a quick overview. We have already allocated $1 million for housing initiatives for 2026. This is already budgeted money. The pilot program is that we will build 4 to 5 starter homes. Let's just say 1,000 square feet, 1,100 square feet, 2 bedrooms. We will target building these on already existing lots that the city owns. And we own a number of them. I'm sure we have at least 4 or 5 in the city that we can start with. And using this $1 million, and there's other potential funding sources like CDBG that can likely be used for site prep, maybe utility hookup, things like that to lower the cost. Arguably, if we are targeting certain AMIs, we can use CDBG for even more. The design and development model of these homes, we will have a standardized design of the home. 1 to 2 floor plans. I advocate for 1. This is just for ease of use. We would be able to meet with would have an RFP out for a developer who will build these houses. They will mass produce them. So because we have 1 floor plan, they can better predict cost. They can buy materials in a bulk amount so they can get a little bit cheaper and just build the same house all over the place on these empty lots. As I mentioned, they'll be built in a batch with through an RFP, homes built by a private developer. And then the rest of it kind of is on autopilot. We already have inspectors for new homes. We have oversight already through existing city processes. So all we're doing is paying for construction and ignoring the profit incentive for the city. I'll get to that in a second. Who gets to buy these houses? Homes will only be sold to owner occupants and not landlords or corporations. We deal with this through a very tried and true method. Habitat for Humanity does it currently. We could put a deed restriction when we sell the house that requires them to live there for 5 years, or the city gets right of first refusal and we could get the property back if we so desire. And so all the approved buyers who have pre-approved letters will apply to this program at a future time. The people who get to buy them will be chosen through a lottery. So it will be randomized, lottery-based, and we won't be able to pick and choose ourselves who get to do it. The homes will be sold at or below cost. The preference is at cost because as the money comes back, we can roll the money over into next year and do the same thing over again. This is a long-term investment in the city. In the event that the at-cost price is too high, we can take an initial hit on this because with every new house we build and every new resident we bring into the city, we generate new money for the city, either through property tax. Currently, these lots are 0. We get usage fees through utilities. We get sales tax. And generally speaking, every single person that comes into a city generates between $2,000 and $5,000 in economic impact that directly goes into the city's pockets. And so if we do have to take a loss because the price is too high, then we will end up recouping that money pretty quickly. And let's see, so the next steps are get feedback from the council tonight. You have the white paper in front of you. I spelt out things with a lot more detail. I think we already kind of have a budget and we have some feedback from staff. We will need to determine what the housing plans are, how we'd like to get them, and move forward there. And based on the success of the program, we can make tweaks. We can add a little bit of money to it to add more houses, or possibly pivot to other housing types in the future. I know Bob has some thoughts about getting housing plans and how that might work and anything else, but I'd like to hear any feedback from the council and just generally the idea as you've read it and taken it in over the last few days. Oh, this is the mayor's meeting. I apologize.
Mr. Silas.
I really do like the concept. I'm curious, has there been a pilot or successful program we could point to nationally or regionally?
I have looked, and I haven't looked too hard.
Okay.
But I know that there have been discussions, especially in like the Strong Towns community, of the city guaranteeing loans for ADUs or small housing construction. I haven't found an example where the city is directly financing it. But I'm also aware that we're not afraid to do innovative and new things to set an example for our neighbors. And to be fair, I want, pending success, I want Rock Island and East Moline to copy us, because it lifts up the whole community to have more housing optionality for people.
I will say that the standardized building house plans is something I gave y'all in a program book in the summer of 2022. So I like that there are pieces of it that have been tried in other communities. I think that was South Bend was the one I shared with them from a conference I was at. And pieces, we already know CDBG has been used in this manner to help with these kinds of transformations. So there's pieces of, I think, of this whole plan that have been done, but this would be like pulling it all together in some way.
And I will, Your Honor, mention that, and I mentioned in the white paper too, I would like the plans to become free to the public, so that if someone has a lot and they want to build a house, they can walk into the planning department, say, I want Plan 15C, and get a stamp of approval because they meet the setbacks that have been set up. And they can get a building permit the next day. And it just so happens, now we have a bunch of local developers who are used to building Plan 15C, so they can be an easy place to go to get their house built. And so we're creating a system and knocking maybe $10,000 off the price because we're providing plans for free, quick approval, et cetera. So anything we can do to kind of knock the price down encourages this kind of development.
There were other hands. Yes, we'll go this way, Ms. Castro.
I had a couple of questions. I think, did you say that it was going to be paid for out of the funds that we have set aside for housing initiatives?
Yes.
Or, I guess my question is more to staff, to Bob. How would that impact our other housing programs that we are wanting to do? Things with like unhoused folks, or our emergency shelters or winter shelters? How would, diverting those funds affect that, or would it?
It's not a question of diverting, is it?
Really, it's not a question of diversion. I mean, the money that has been set aside or was used for the unsheltered, 25,000 of that actually came through the city council from the contingency fund because it wasn't budgeted for. But that's what the contingency is there for when there was no shelter to stand up. The $1 million that Alderman Timmy is referring to, I mean, we've been working toward a housing, as a part of the housing task force, standing up a program. So we did set aside that $1 million, into the special CIP. Is actually, Carol, if I'm not right, that's where it's at. So it is sitting there in the special CIP, pending some type of a program. One of the things that we're doing this summer is that we have a young intern who is going to be joining us as a part of what is known as the Abundance Internship Program. And this was something that was brought to our attention by the mayor based on her affiliation with the
Abundance electeds.
Huh?
Abundance electeds, that's all I know.
Whatever. Anyhow, so we interviewed a number of young people for the internship, and this young gentleman will be joining us this summer, and his whole purpose is helping us to put this program together. He will be working with Renew Moline. One of our goals, of course, is housing. That's why we did set aside the $1 million. Renew Moline has a strategic plan that almost mirrors ours. They are also looking at how to deal with this housing crisis locally. And they've got really two approaches to it. One is multifamily. They're looking at a project on 4th Avenue. Is 4th Avenue? Thank you. 4th Avenue. And they've also agreed, or Alex has agreed, to help mentor this young person and work with them as we start to put together a program. The timing here is kind of ideal because, Alderman Timian has this idea to do this and put this white paper together. At the same time, we were having these conversations, and he wasn't part of those conversations, so it kind of came together, I'd say accidentally, though we all talk about housing pretty frequently. So, long answer to a short question, sorry, but I just wanted to make sure the council understood what's going on behind the scenes to try and stand this up by September. We really want to have a program that this council can plan for, budget for, and replenish these funds. I'd like to see this thing replenishing itself, all right? We have a history, and KJ is also involved in that for, 20-some years now. You know, we have built houses. I mean, we have renovated houses. We've done a lot of things, but there's just not enough of that private investment side that you want to see. That's really where the pinch is. It's the private investment dollars. We tried to attract private investment dollars from Lamar Homes. They don't want to come to this market. They're only interested in the Chicago market. So we've reached out to home builders, hoping to see if we can get something done. So we're going to have to take this on our own if we want to stand this up and make it work and make it an example. And, you know, private developer might build, 100 homes in a year. We may build 5, but we're building. And that's really the difference.
And I would
can't accelerate it beyond the fiscal realities.
There is a thing called an incremental developer, which might be a mom and pop developer that is interested in building one house a year as a supplement or just as a side project or whatever.
Yeah.
We can create the framework that shows them how to do it with this model of house. And then, as you mentioned, South Bend, Indiana, this is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
They created this network of developers and electricians and plumbers, and they all kind of came together and they're helping each other. And the city has, I would argue, a couple dozen free plans that they can all use. And these incremental developers, they can start building these different housing types. And I think, like, what a great problem it would be if we no longer need to do this anymore. And the market picks up, where we have pushed it. But right now, it's big developers who want 100 homes, and we're looking for people that want 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so we're going to fill in the gap because the government should step in when the market fails.
So I'll call on you in 1 second. I wanted to mention that perhaps there's a chance that we could replicate what Davenport schools do. I think it's Davenport, where those kids build a house. If we're gonna, create a network or be a part of that, then it seems that, working with the trades, et cetera, and the high school, which we have a history of doing internships well with them, that could be one of the homes, and that's wonderful on-the-job training. We also, some of us were down with the electricians last year, young students doing stuff in the summer, getting that work done. So I think, anyway, it's something to think about. And secondly, I had thought while I was reading through it, well, this sounds like what Habitat does, and you mentioned Habitat. However, then I also remembered that Tom Fisher-King talked with me this year when I was at the first ribbon cutting for the first home he'd been able to do in Moline, and I think it's over 5 years, right? It's been a long time since they built a home in Moline, and it is because of a lot of regulatory, but also fiscal realities, right? I don't think we can count on nonprofits who are already cash-strapped in many ways to manage the market in the same way that we can in some ways. So I wanted to address the idea that, why don't we just let Habitat do it? It doesn't happen if they don't have enough money.
And I would argue if we give them this $1 million, they can build 5 homes, but then the $1 million is gone. This plan is to build them and sell them and recycle that money as many times as possible.
Understood. Okay, there was
Well,
Ms.
I don't
Castro.
think that my question was really answered in your long answer. I just wanted to know if this was going to change any of our plans that we had as far as funding shelters or work with the homeless.
Can I address that?
I guess I'm just
know you're the
curious.
administrator.
Okay, that's all. That was my question. That's all. I think it's a great idea. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any kind of that was kind of still
it's in the works, and so there's absolutely no dollar amount out there yet or an agreement yet with the other cities, but that is happening. We just talked this morning with our intergovernmental folks about when the next step meeting is. So
Can I add to that, too? What was really great is that, we reached back out, I reached back out to the other cities. And the county just jumped on it and has now taken the lead.
Great.
And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because I don't think there's any one of the administrators here locally who doesn't believe the county should be taking the lead on that issue of homelessness. So we may become funders, but we will never be owners or operators. And I've been saying that since the beginning. We just did this because it was an emergency this year.
Other questions? Yes, Mr. Macias?
Yes, so, well, obviously Habitat, it sounds like Habitat, and they could certainly, it's not replicating, you run out of the money, all that, but they already have the plans, they have the structure. I wouldn't be opposed to working with a nonprofit provider, and not just because they might have the experience of doing this stuff, but together we could tap into other grants that might not be, that would be separate from or CDBG grants. And they're out there. They could apply for them. We probably wouldn't necessarily, but a housing organization certainly could. So I would keep that as an option, because then you can leverage funds here, leverage our funds, and I'm all about leveraging. And even if it does run out, I mean, you could get like maybe 15 houses, or so. But I would just recommend not, thinking about other partners that could bring other funds to the table.
Mr. McNeil?
So I'm just thinking about how we measure success, and that can be years down the road, right? The way, when I'm reading this and hearing you, it's like project lead the way for developers. We start this and, we create this so they can replicate it. And so success is going to be measured over time.
Right.
If this works, right? I guess my question is about, our outreach and, maybe it's marketing to this audience. Are we creating a product that there's no audience for today, or a very slim audience, like the small developer, right? So we'd have to be actively selling this, right? I mean, James, you can chime in on how this isn't a market out there that's like going crazy, and now we're bringing them the product, right? And that's would be something I'd like to see us focus on, is how do we find or even entice folks to get into the small development space? Because I think it's great, but that would be my concern, is there's a reason that they're building big homes, because they see the return on investment.
Well, and that's
Right.
just it, is if you can make $100,000 on a house or $15,000 on a house, you're gonna chase $100,000.
Yeah.
And I think like that's just the nature of the system that we're in. They chase profit. We're chasing neighborhood stabilization. We are chasing adding new housing to our city, and quite frankly, we are chasing income streams to power the city going forward through all the different revenue stream possibilities. So our motives are very different. Now, the private developers, their motive might be that 15,000, because they now have a network of builders and plumbers and people that have become a well-oiled machine over a couple years of doing this, that can knock out these housing models based on a bank loan that they get, that now we have credit unions that are familiar with it, and that they can do this it becomes a system. And so maybe, I mean, that's the hope. That is really the hope. Yeah.
And just lastly, I know it's a real estate term, but the starter home. So my family of 3 lives in a 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And that's like our environmental resiliency plan. Right? So I just don't, it's a small home. I don't know if we can call them small homes.
We quit calling them tiny homes, because starter home is more appropriate. My mother lives in an 800 square foot house.
And it's still her starter?
It's her final.
Yeah.
We have a lot of communities in the 1st and 2nd ward specifically that have homes that are 600 square feet. And the market conditions they're all occupied. They're not empty. People live in them. They might not like it entirely, but people live in them.
Or they might like
Molettes,
it.
or they do like it. In your
yeah.
case, molettes are all occupied, and they're going for quite a bit of money. So I think the market speaks for the demand already.
Mr. Schmidt, was that a hand? Yes, go ahead.
I do think that the marketing component you brought up is going to be interesting, where people who know who's looking for houses are your realtors, but this could be sort of in competition to them, so maybe they're not as interested. But then there's, of course, for sale by owner and QC. I mean, there's probably partnerships you have to look at on the marketing component of how we get that out there, what makes the most sense. I also think for the when you talk about selling it at cost versus below cost, and I agree, of course, we want to sell at cost first. I do think one thing we'll have to figure out is, especially when we're working from a city-owned lot, is what cost of that lot gets carried over into that calculation, right? And do we go back to what it cost the city once upon a time, where, like, we have a lot of flexibility because we own so many lots. And I think that's also what's gonna slow down our need for like more upfront capital, because if you're gonna build this as just a developer, you have to buy that lot, and so we can just bring that to the table, but, and the last piece, somewhat related as well, is looking at awarding things via a lottery among qualified applicants makes perfect sense, especially when we're selling at cost. So I would think if we're selling below cost, we probably would want to have that be a proper bidding scenario, and then, but anyone who bids at cost would be entered into a lottery. Because if people are bidding lower than cost, we should recoup as much as we can. I totally get how we don't want to turn around and say only the wealthiest people who can throw an extra 10 or 20,000 on from our at cost thing wouldn't serve the needs of this program. But it's just one thought as we're getting into that weed a little bit.
And I'm sure those details we can fine tune in the future as we continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll call a regular council meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do you have an invocation, Ms. Castro?
I do not.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderperson Silas.
Present.
Macias.
Present.
Razak.
Present.
Timian.
Present.
Finch. Present. McNeil.
Present.
Castro. Present. Schmidt.
Present.
All right, we have no remote electronic attendance. Is there any more public comment? No? All right, if not, we'll move on to our consent agenda.
Your Honor, I request approval of Committee of the Whole, Council, and Executive Session meeting minutes of March 24, 2026, appointments made during Committee of the Whole on April 7, 2026, and consent agenda items 16.1 through 17.15 inclusively.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second, thank you. Now they're going way high in the air, you guys. It's just exercise. All right, so we have a motion by Timian, seconded by Finch. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch. McNeil.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Non-consent agenda, resolutions. Item number 19.1, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a memorandum of understanding between the city of Moline, city of Rock Island, and county of Rock Island, setting forth the terms for submitting a joint application for allocated funds through the 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion by Finch, seconded by Castro. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch. McNeil.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 19.2, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a notice of intent to award with Miller Trucking and Excavating Company for project number 1520, 2026 lead service line replacement project for the amount of $7,947,755, contingent upon receipt of a loan agreement from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch. McNeil.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 19.3, a resolution accepting a quotation for office furniture to be placed in the newly renovated space at City Hall for the relocation of the Department of Finance from All Makes Office Furniture, Inc., utilizing Omnia Partners contract number CO23 for the amount of $110,929.75, plus installation of same for the amount $10,794.00, for the total amount of $121,723.75, and authorizing the Assistant Director of Public Works to purchase said furniture and do any and all things necessary in order to complete the purchase.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Schmidt. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Non-consent agenda, first reading ordinances. Item number 20.1, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Offenses Miscellaneous of the Moline Code of Ordinances, Section 22-1105, Tobacco Products, Tobacco Accessories, Smoking Herbs, and Alternative Nicotine Products by increasing the number of Class B incidental tobacco dealers licenses in the city at the request of, City of Moline, at the request of Web Services LLC, DBA Casey's Tavern.
Motion to advance the second reading?
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Timian. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Silas.
Aye.
Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
McNeil.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays. Motion to advance to second reading carries, and that's all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Great, thank you very much, everyone, for a good meeting, quality discussion. We had quality discussion today as a member of the Passenger Rail Committee. I think the official title is, if there is one, is like Rock Island County Passenger Rail Committee?
Something
All
like
right,
that,
something
yeah.
like that. It's what Doug House is leading regarding making sure we are walking alongside the passenger rail project so that it gets done. And so he just gave us an update. I'll forward you some information from that, so just look in your email. But basically, this is still a multi-year process. It's gonna be much more like how the I-74 bridge was in terms of a long-range project. The difference now is that when you hear a constituent say, oh, I've heard that forever, we're gonna get the train. Well, now we have a checkbook open that has needed to be open for the negotiations to finish. And we have still maintained commitments from Amtrak and the Federal Railway Administration for committing to this line. It's been a priority line, et cetera. So still a few years out before we'd be riding the train. But I just wanted to assure everyone that leaders across Rock Island County, city administrators, there were folks from Visit Quad Cities as well, because there's a huge impact on tourism there. Folks from the chamber, et cetera, were there. And it was good to be in the same room and get all the same information and know that we're in contact with folks in Cook County who are very supportive of this project, right? Because Chicagoland still remains one of the highest places we get weekend visitors from. And people who stay in hotel rooms and go to our events at Vibrant and all of our summer experiences, et cetera. And so that kind of cooperation is helpful for those out-of-town dollars that will come in and people experiencing the good that is the Quad Cities. And that is all I have under miscellaneous. You got anything for us, Mr. Silas?
No.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yes, excited to be here.
Mr. Macias?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Razak?
No, thank you.
Timian?
I'd like to welcome Alderperson Silas. I'm glad you're here. And want to thank Nathan as well for his idea that I love an idea of a closed-off walkable Fifth Avenue. I might be in the minority, but I think it's great. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Finch? Mr. McNeil?
City of Moline is getting an Eddie Award from River Action, and so I had to remind Chris that he's going to be accepting that on April 30th. So if anybody wants to attend, we'll be there.
Awesome, thank you.
For the Riverfront Plan, did I say that?
Oh, no.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
For
okay,
the
yeah,
Riverfront
sorry,
Plan.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Can we make sure we get a calendar invite to that? Or is it not for everyone?
it's for,
We were talking about maybe get a City of Moline table or something.
Oh, okay,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
got you, thank you.
Table of 10.
Ms. Castro? Nothing? Staff? Anybody?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Two things I wanted to bring up. One, I know that there was a announcement over the weekend, but I want it on the record here in this council meeting that the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity reached out to Moline, to Chris Mathias, on April the 1st, 2026, as the RERZ administrator. And they have now approved the designation of the Moline River Edge Redevelopment Zone, which, as you know, stretches from border to border, 4,500 feet up the bluff. And it is a significant achievement. Our next step in this process will be to bring forward the IGA, based upon the meetings we had with all of the taxing jurisdictions that appear on properties in Moline. And we had reached a mutual agreement on how that would look. So we'll be circulating that. City Attorney Atkins is actually preparing the IGA. I expect that will be done shortly. And then we will circulate that for signatures and approval by those governing bodies, and then bring it back to the City Council for final approval. And that will then allow CED and Mathias and Parr, it sounds like a business, Mathias and Parr, and in my office to really go out and start pushing for those bulldozers the mayor keeps talking about along the riverfront. So that was really fantastic news, and I wanted to make sure we enter that into the record. The other thing I want to do is I want to go back and just revisit something with council that was brought up. It was a public presentation by the YMCA when Mr. Winnekamp was here, and he made a request for $130,000 from the city to support the YMCA's project, which is a multi-year project. I believe he said it was 3 or 4 years. I think that's what he said. But it's a significant investment, $24 million project that they're doing there. And he was looking for 130, which basically, you know, would cover in a lot of respects the permit fees, right, for a project of that magnitude. I don't like getting in the habit of waiving permit fees for anybody other than for ourselves, because that's the way local governments operate. Otherwise, you're just billing yourself to pay yourself. But, you know, in his case, he looked for 130. So I thought about that, and I said, well, what could we do? Well, we could just say no to the 130, makes life easy, say no. Or we could say yes to the 130, that make him happy. But then I thought about the equity. I thought about who have we actually supported in the past as a city, you know, when similar requests have been made, and not talking about special events either. So one of the more recent ones that we did was the new business center for junior achievement. So as you'll recall, when the former director approached us and requested $37,500, the council was gracious and gave them $37,500 over 3 years. So it was $17,500, which was the first tranche that went out to help get the business center up and running, which, by the way, is a screaming success, that business center. If you haven't been there, you really need to go and see how that's operating. And then $10,000 for each of the consecutive years after that. We have now paid that all out. All right, that was that. I think last year was the last payment. And they made no other requests. One of the other big ones that we have is the $30,000 that goes out, and it is, I don't really want to call it a special event because it's an ongoing event every Friday, all summer long, Mercado at 5th. And we allocate $30,000 in the police department budget to support the overtime so that we can have proper security at that event in today's day and age, okay? So that's an amount that goes out every year to them, but it's in the PD budget and managed by the police chief as opposed to what we used to do. So I said, okay, 130 yes, 130 no. I said we could waive up to half of the request and give them $65,000 in one tranche. We can waive up to half of the request, or 65, and provide them with a donation of 65 in a lump sum. Or we could turn around and we can do what we have done with others, which actually lightens the burden on us. Remember, this is a multi-year project. Either give them the 130 and split it up over the years, or cut it in half, say 65,000, and then donate $21,666. Sorry for those last three numbers. Each year for 3 years during the project. So starting with fiscal 27, 28, and ending in 29, because this is not budgeted. I don't have this money. I can't find that money very easily. So I just want to throw that on the table and let the council decide how they would like to proceed. And if you can't decide tonight, then you can come back at the next meeting and we can wrap up that discussion. But I don't want to leave the request hanging out there.
Point of order, I don't think we can decide, it's not on the agenda.
No, you can't, but I can get input.
You can discuss it, and you can make clear what your opinion is. You can't actually take a binding vote.
Okay.
Not tonight.
Mr. Timian?
I like that approach, it spreads it out. We can probably do 65 and 21 over 3 years, even from contingency if needed. I mean, that's for future budgeting discussions to really figure out where.
Yeah, it would be a part of our budget discussions, and Carol and I would build that into the budget. But then we would give them advance notice that that's what we were doing.
Yep.
So they would know that the city's supporting that project up to the tune of $65,000 over 3 years.
Mr. Schmidt?
So when we're considering the choice between making a cash donation, which certainly simplifies things, I think, versus a waiving of fees, I mean, is there an added administrative cost to waiving the fees in addition to obviously the cost of those inspections?
It's all rolled together. The permit fees are supposed to cover our costs to deliver a service, right? The more complex the project, the greater the permit. That's why bigger projects have bigger permit fees, because you're gonna be out there more frequently. You know, it's not like building, let's say, a house versus a power instrument project. I mean, you can imagine the difference there and the skill sets required. So, I don't need an answer tonight, but I'm putting it out there. I want you to think about it, and then if you want to get back in touch with me, by all means, please feel free.
I would encourage y'all to go back to his presentation, because there's so much good information there on what they provide to the city, in many ways that we're not funding, right? And the good partnership that they have been for the Riverside Riverslide and all of that quality of life stuff and a place for our youth to be. I mean, kids who could be there, I think it was 12 years old and up, right? That was a huge benefit for kids all summer long, alone. It was what I'm saying. Now it's changed, right, Chief? I think it's 14. But the point is, they're providing services, and that presentation he gave us is a good reminder, and we'll make sure you get to see that, Mr. Stiles. Yes, Mr. McNeil?
I was gonna add that the services they provide make them feel like a unique partner when it comes to a contribution. And in addition to Riverside, our Parks Department doesn't need to be in the fitness center game, right?
Nope.
The Y is the fitness center
Or the
for us.
daycare center business.
So there's a lot in that partnership that, so I'm in favor of spreading it out.
One second.
Sorry.
Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Razak?
no. I'm sorry. I'm saying that it is a unique organization and it tremendously help the community people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you much.
More to
That's all I
come,
have
yeah.
for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, then
I know I have nothing for
we are,
executives.
no executive session. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yes, Mr. by Castro, seconded by Finch. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.